back again. I'm gonna start at the beginning of that quote. Not the whole quote, but the middle of the rilke. Politeness tinged with mischief was my reaction to the friendliness of these objects, which seemed happy to be so well treated, so meticulously renovated. And even today, I must confess that, while everything about me grew brighter in the immense black surface of my work table, which dominated its surroundings, became newly aware, somehow, of the size of the room, reflecting it more and more clearly, pale, gray, and almost square. Well, yes, I felt moved, as though something were happening, something, to tell the truth, which was not purely superficial but immense, and which touched my very soul. I was an emperor washing the feet of the poor, or Saint Bonaventure washing dishes in his convent. Benvenuta, oh, Ben, Benvenuta's comment, that's the end of the quote. Benvenuta's comment on these episodes detracts from their charm somewhat when she tells us that Rilke's mother, while he was still a mere child, forced him to dust the furniture and perform other household tasks. But one cannot help sensing the nostalgia for work that emanates from this fragment by Rilke, or realizing that this is an accumulation of psychological documents from different mental ages, since to the joy of helping his mother is added the glory of being one of the great of the earth, washing the feet of the poor. The whole thing is a complex of sentiments, with its association of politeness and mischief, of humility and action. Then, too, there is the striking line with which it opens, "I was magnificently alone." Alone, as we are at the origin of all real action that we are not obliged to perform. And the marvelous thing about easy actions is that they do, in fact, place us at the origin of an action. I love this. Removed from its context, this long passage seems to me to be a good test of the reader's interest. Some may disdain it, or wonder that it should interest anyone, whereas to others it may seem alive, effective and stimulating, since it offers each one of us a means of becoming aware of our room by strongly synthesizing everything that lives in it, every piece of furniture that wants to be friends. There is also the courage of the writer who braves the kind of censorship that forbids insignificant confidences. But what a joy reading is when we recognize the importance of these insignificant things, when we can add our own personal daydreams to the insignificant recollections of the author. Then insignificance becomes the sign of extreme sensitivity to the intimate meanings that establish spiritual understanding between writer and reader. And here we are getting into Roland Barthes, very heavy, even though I know it's, different. But before that, he keeps saying the word insignificant. Insignificant makes you think of significant. Saussure, general course in linguistics. Where does the signification lie in meaninglessness? Anyway, and what charm it offers upon our memories to be able to say to ourselves that, except for the suede gloves, we have lived moments similar to those lived by Rilke. Yes, yes, very much so. We're on to the last section of this chapter, chapter 2, House and Universe. Who knew it would come so fast? Part 10. All great simple images reveal a psychic state. The house, even more than the landscape, is a psychic state, and even when reproduced as it appears from the outside, it bespeaks intimacy. Psychologists generally, and Francois Minkowska in particular, together with those whom she has succeeded interesting in the subject, have studied the drawings of houses made by children and even used them for testing. Indeed, the house test has the advantage of welcoming spontaneity, for many children draw a house spontaneously while dreaming over their paper and pencil. To quote Anne Bailiff, asking a child to draw his house is asking him to reveal the deepest dream shelter he has found for his happiness. If he is happy, he will succeed in drawing a snug, protected house which is well built on deeply rooted foundations. It will have the right shape, and nearly always there will be some indication of its inner strength. In certain drawings, quite obviously, to quote Madame Belif, it is warm indoors, and there is a fire burning, such a big fire, in fact, that it can be seen coming out of the chimney. When the house is happy, soft smoke rises in gay rings above the roof. If the child is unhappy, however, the house recalls, the house bears traces of his distress. In this connection, I recall that Francois Minkowska organized an unusually moving exhibition of drawings by Polish and Jewish children who had suffered the cruelties of the German occupation during the last war. One child, who had been hidden in a closet every time there was an alert, continued to draw narrow, cold, closed houses long after those evil times were over. These are what Madame Minkowska calls motionless houses, houses that have become motionless in their rigidity. This rigidity and motionlessness are present in the smoke as well as in the window curtains. The surrounding trees are quite straight and give the impression of standing guard over the house. Madame Minkowska knows that a live house is not really motionless, that particularly it integrates the movements by means of which one accedes to the door. Sorry for all the noises. Let me start that part over. Madame Minkowska knows that a live house is not really motionless, that particularly it integrates the movements by means of which one accedes to the floor, to the door. Thus, the path that leads to the house is often a climbing one. At times, even it is inviting. In any case, it always possesses certain kinesthetic features. If we were making a Rorschach test, we should say that the house was a K. The house has K. Often a simple detail suffices for Madame Minkowska, a distinguished psychologist, to recognize the way the house functions. In one house, drawn by an 8-year-old child, she notes that there is a, quote, knob on the door. People go in the house, they live there. It is not merely a constructed house, it is also a house that is lived in. Quite obviously, the doorknob has a functional significance. This is the kinesthetic sign, so frequently forgotten in the drawings of tense children. Naturally, too, the doorknob could hardly be drawn in scale with the house, its function taking precedence over any question of size, for it expresses the function of opening, and only a logical mind could object that it is used to close as well as to open the door. In the domain of values, on the other hand, a key closes more often than it opens, whereas the doorknob opens more often than it closes. Semantics, my friend. And the gesture of closing is always sharper, firmer, and briefer than that of opening. It is by weighing such fine points as these that, like Francois Minkowska, one becomes a psychologist of houses. Okay, end of chapter 2. Let's watch it turn. Ta-da! Next time on YouTube, drawers, chests, and wardrobes. Well, I hope you've had a good day and get some good sleep. Okay.